Well, hello again to you fine wonderful people of who you want to be, as long as you're not a dick or an evildoer. My name is Sam and I'd like to welcome you all once again to another episode of Weird Mind Newsroom, where of course for this week we're delving into the usual affair of some new releases, some trailers of a varying type, and some news stories in focus as well for another week. So don't waste time on introductions, let's get to talking all things media that we have for the second week of January.
Stark will be overjoyed.
We start out a selection of releases in focus in the realm of rage and a return to a land that was overtaken by a virus for nearly 3 decades, where we were first brought back a couple months ago, but was not where this story ended because it's time to continue this overarching narrative of a section of land lost to time and death, as we have the release of the all-new second part of the planned 20 years trilogy with the Bone Temple. And the film continued the story first brought up in 20 years later, where we see Spike being inducted into Sir Jimmy Crystal's group of acrobatic killers in a post-apocalyptic England ravaged by the rage virus. Meanwhile, Dr. Ian Kelson uncovers a deadly discovery that will have consequences that could alter the world. Now, reception on this follow-up entry I've seen some very well received reception with praise on its performances, particularly with Jack O'Connell and Ralph Fiennes, expanding story and visual focus and darker tone and themes, though some have issues that may lead the last film becoming a bit sidelined for the level of graphical aspects. Now, I'm not sure if I'll have the stomach for this or make this the third film where I have things in the cinema screen, but if you want to check it out for yourself, I might have to watch it when it comes on streaming, but you can check it out for yourself now, as it's out now in cinemas. But if the vile nature of Britain is not for you, but rather have some bit of a more somewhere close to the east and a bit more of a calmer and wholesome tone, then you are in luck as well, as it's a case of looking for a purpose may find in some career that helps one to find themselves and what may be missing, as with the release of a new film that's known simply as Rental Family. Then the film will follow Philip Vanderploeg, played by Brendan Fraser, an American actor struggling to find purpose who lands himself in an unusual gig with a Japanese agency to play standard roles for strangers. Soon, when he immerses himself into the client's world, he begins to form genuine bonds that blur the lines between performance and reality. Comforting his moral complexities of his work, he soon rediscovers purpose, belonging, and the quiet beauty of human connection. Reception on this film has been very well received, with praise in the believed performance of Fraser, the story, its messaging, and for feel-good vibes that are needed in this time of change and uncertainty. If you want to check it out for yourself, then you can do so now, as it's out now, also in cinemas. So we've had horror and we've had a feel-good film. So far, the last of the movies we're releasing this week is one in the focus of bringing 2 names in the industry that seem to work best as both lifelong friends and make some entertaining media in the basis of getting the job done when things get serious, I'm assuming. As Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are teaming up for an all-new action-based film that's known simply as The Rip. Now, the film sees the 2 leads play a pair of Miami cops who discover a stash of millions in cash, leading to a sense of distrust as outsiders begin to learn about the seizure, making them question who to really rely on. Now, reception of this film has also seen reception, with praise on the more grounded story and performances of the cast, even the likes of the narrative can get a little bit confusing or the concept of the plot can feel a little bit too cliche. But if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can watch it right now on Netflix. On our show for this week is one area that have been a little lacking in a lot with this kind of weekly series, but I'll try and make a bit more of a look into this year, as we have some anime to talk about. And it's with this series has become a bit of a surprise appealing series, and folks, with a journey continuing for these odd but colourful characters, as to the release of the 2nd season of the popular anime of Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Now, the season will see Frieren, along with her new companions of Stark and Fern, as they continue the journey to the Northern Plateau and travel to the fabled spirit world of Ariol, where she will be able to properly say goodbye to her former comrades that she regrets not getting to know them too well. Now, reception on this 2nd season so far has been very highly praised, with its visually appealing animation style, its characters, its story, and some well-meaning messages amongst some promises of very highly appealing action pieces, and is the anime everyone needs right now. And if you want to check it out and head on the continuing journey, then you can watch the first episode now on Crunchyroll or wherever you watch your anime, with a new episode releasing every Friday. And our final release for this week is one that will be bringing many of us back to time for about 6 years ago, when the world shut down and all seemed glum. But there was that child that helped us to escape from it all, and head out on a nice vacation and make a paradise for all of us at a time of all to escape from it all. And in this case, we're back once again with an new upgrade, as well as the release of a Switch 2 edition, a massive free print upgrade for Animal Crossing New Horizons. And the game will have you play as your own custom villagers. You travel to a remote island where you can make it to the island paradise for you and your villager friends, with all this new updates bringing new features for the update console, and for versions getting a new hotel and locations and returning characters that were absent for quite some time. The reception of this new title and update seems to be so far well liked, with praise in the features and some aspects of the updates, though most critiques feels a bit few and far between, and the price difference of the 2 editions of the game leave much to be desired, with the physical Switch 1 version currently sitting at €45 in physical, while Switch 2 is €15 more, though you can buy the upgrade separately for as little as €5. But if you want to return to your island paradise, you can play it now on Nintendo Switch and now on Switch 2. though you can still play the Switch 1 version on the new console as well. Overall, that regards, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week.
No, it's okay. It's all right. This will be my moment.
So we're heading on to the trailers for this week, and I believe, for one final time, we're checking in on the ever-ticking clock that is slowly but surely counting down to the day of reckoning, where everything is about to unravel and cause possible death and destruction, and see from the perspective of the different heroes of the past coming together and alternate universes to save the future, as we have the 4th release teaser to the upcoming end-of-year movie event of Avengers Doomsday. Now the film, of course, will be set 14 months out of the events of Thunderbolts and follow on from Endgame, will consist of different factions, including the Avengers led by Sam Wilson's Cap, the Wakandans, the recently revived Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, and the appearance of the X-Men, all teaming together to face a new powerful threat of Doctor Doom, who looks a little close to a familiar face from the past. Now I've been interested in the appeals of these teasers, with not only being too long, given the briefest of looks, and some of the established heroes set for an appearance in this film, with the focus of this next one being with Shuri, M'Baku, Namor, and then the first interaction of the Fantastic Four with other heroes, with this one focused on the Thing. Now I do wonder if the likes of the other members of the family are also present in this scene, or if they have come into contact with the Thunderbolts, but I guess we are leaving that to the proper trailer or something like that. Now this has also brought with a cryptic message about the Russos about this being some sort of hidden meaning to all teasers, and while yes, there is hidden timestamps at the end for scenes from Endgame, it may also have some other meanings, but I have no idea of them. I may have to delve into it myself, but either way, I'm interested to see it and a bit optimistic for this film as the clock continues to count down to its release in the cinemas from the 18th of December. Our next trailer is one that has been somewhat quiet for a bit of time, and it's a case with this new one is taking the approach of returning to the sort of dark universe for this new project, but in a less disaster type of way. As we're going more in the unsettling horror, as Evil Dead Rise director Lee Cronin is giving his take on an iconic movie monster, as we receive the first teaser for his take on The Mummy. In the film, we'll see the sudden disappearance of the youngest daughter of a journalist somewhere in the far reaches of the desert without any form or trace, but suddenly the shattered family is stunned when she reappears 8 years later. However, what should have been a joyful family reunion turns into a true and horrifying nightmare. So I remember this being teased about maybe 2 years ago when they revealed the script, and felt that had some solid fit to make this a proper horror fest that they watched that 2017 reboot to be. They wanted the 2017 reboot to be in that regards, but it turned into an action film by Tom Cruise. But it seems to be a bit more of a knack given a sense of mystery and glimpse into horror in this teaser. Now, it is a case where, while researching this piece, that there was a whole ordeal of Universal being adamant about this film, and the reason they announced the 4th Brendan Fraser Mummy because of this, and it's with the studio Warner Bros, and the case reported mixed test screenings, but a fair amount of time with these test screenings stuff is often varies in the final product. But it looks interesting, and we'll see how it all turns out, and it's not too long from release either, as this film will be rising from its tomb in about 3 months' time on April 17th. Our next trailer will be time to gather your merry band of misfits and prepare to set sail across the high seas once more on the way to a fabled legendary treasure, and will be set to see more dangerous paths in the world and maybe some new adversaries too, as we are back with the release of the all-new trailer for the upcoming 2nd season of the live-action take on One Piece. This new season will see Luffy and the Straw Hat Gang as they embark further on their journey as they enter into the Grand Line, where they will soon encounter new islands, new acquaintances, formidable enemies, and a whole load of legendary secrets. I see as a bit of an impressive feat with the series becoming such a success, as the likes of these anime adaptations on the streamer are not always the most successful or end up a disaster, and that seems to be the case now. They're apparently planning another one for Death Note after they made the movie, and they're still making the sequel. I don't know. And it's a case since I've given credit for working as best they can in adapting the massive 1,000+ episodes into the show so far. Now I doubt it's the full 1,000 episodes, but it could be like at least a certain amount for each episode, but I need to look into it in that regards. I'll watch both versions due time, as I promised someone as well, but it seems like it could be another successful series in progress from the outcome, and I'm sure it'll be well worth a watch, with the season not too long away from starting, with setting sail onto Netflix from the 10th of March. Our next trailer is going for more on the world of titans and creatures that roam amongst us, and in this case it's a return to the realm that is seen as the Monsterverse, as we get more of an insight into the organization that makes it their focus of learning their attributes and the appearance of new titans and threats, as we the release of a proper first full trailer to the upcoming 2nd season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Now the season will pick up with the fate of Monarch and the world hanging in the balance, as this new season reveals buried secrets that reunite the heroes and villains on Kong's Skull Island and to a new mysterious village where mythical titan will rise from the sea. We really seem to be in the age of titans in all forms from this series, and the other mythical creatures from trolls and mechs and much more, and especially with the OG titan himself of Godzilla, who seems to be on quite the trend these days, and likes the first season was an entertaining one in knowing what it wants to be and having likable characters mixed with iconic monsters. And I'm interested to see what they'll be doing with this new season and the introduction of that new water-based titan. But it's not going to be too long away from seeing this how it all turns out, as the new season will be making its way onto Apple TV Plus from the 27th of February. Our next trailer is with a focus of a show that since the last time we've had seen this, the floodgates opened and so much had happened, from drama, behind the scenes conflicts, and some leads of the show had some drama as well. Well, mainly on one of them, and a new one has now appeared recently that a lot have saved from the group that defended her and her great genes, which feels in tone to the series, as after 3 years since season 2 dropped, we now have the trailer for the third and presumably final season to Euphoria. Now, the new season jumps forward 5 years into the future with the new, now adult characters post high school, with its focusing on themes of faith, redemption, and evil as they navigate life, careers, and complex relationships, with Rue dealing with drug debts in Mexico, Casey and Nate's troubled marriage, Jules in art school, and Maddie working in Hollywood, all while exploring the fallout of their intense pasts. The concept of the show seemed like quite the ordeal when it first came out, which I know was based on another show from a different country, and given the American twist to it, and it seems to work well with the two female leads, Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney, going off to have some bigger careers, as well as a few others like Hunter Schafer as well. But it's a case of it works now that the appeal of the series has somewhat died off from the different projects and the appeal of the creator at this point, but it seems like they are giving it all they can for one last go around. And it'll be the case, I probably need to rewatch the first two at some point, but I guess we will see by the release of the show when it drops on HBO Max from the 12th of April. Our last film trailer that we have for this week is the focus to talk on another iconic figure of the movie Monsters, with a bit more of the modern twist, where we have seen a fair amount of versions of focus on the man-made monster. Hell, the most recent one was considered for many of the award season, but it's a case while they are present, it's more the focus of the creature's desire of love that brings us this new take on the figure in focus, as you're back with the release of the second trailer for the upcoming new take on this character from Maggie Gyllenhaal with the teaser for The Bride. Now, set in 1940s Chicago, Frankenstein's monster, played by Christian Bale, asks Dr. Euphonius to help create a companion for him. They give life to a murdered woman as The Bride, played by Jessie Buckley, that soon sparks romance, police interest, and a lot of radical social change. If there's an interest in this case with this movie, it's the focus that it's been quite a while since it was focused to the love interest of the original undead creation, and it's always been a case that it's due time for them to get a focus once more. I do like this approach that while the original Bride of Frankenstein is such a classic of cinema from nearly a century ago, the ideals of giving this more of a 60s aesthetic, 30s aesthetic, and having this Bonnie and Clyde focus to it all is a really interesting approach. I like what I'm seeing here, and I hope that this film turns to be a bit of an entertaining ordeal, and it's the case it's not too long away from release either, as Undead Lovers will be brought back to life into cinemas from the 6th of March. For one final trailer for this week is taking us back to the realm of television for more of a return to a bit of a comedic affair, where things get a little more stuffed and fluffed and the vulgar language may be getting a little more tough, as the popular raunchy talking teddy bear is back for another round of growing pains, as the release of the trailer for the second season of the popular comedy series of Ted. The new season will take us back to 1994, will focus on the high school senior years for Ted and his best friend John, explaining their dysfunctional family dynamic with John's parents and cousin Blair, amidst more raunchy humor and heartfelt moments as they navigate teenage life, hinting at new challenges and deepening their bond. So I remember being a young teenager when the original film was released, and back then I thought they were funny and they had their moments of quotable aspects over the years. I seen them as being enjoyable. I was a little skeptical on the first season, but I was surprised by the show and actually really enjoyed it and found a fair bit funny as well. And I do hope that there's a sense of momentum with this follow-up season that has its appeal and kept what worked with season 1 in this new season. I'm sure interested in checking this all out when it's not too long away from the release either, as a new season will be releasing onto Peacock and Sky and now from the 5th of March. And with all that regards now, that's all the trailers that we do have for this week.
Get in the boat, boy.
So we're starting off this week with the first of two stories, the 2 weeks in focus of something that has some connection to one another, and that's the comes to the aspect of the awards season focus. And for our first one, we're focusing directly on the recently broadcasted Golden Globes to really get the focus on the world of entertainment that has won the big awards of the night in film and television. Now, before I delve into the winners, there has been a lot of discussion about the show, which has emphasized that this year's show was quite a disaster, of being broadcast from jokes that were a bit too much pushing on political to keeping things too safe, and even the audacity to cut some of these award show speeches out of the broadcast itself, which is quite a messy thing. Now, I haven't watched this show, but I will give a look into the actual show eventually and see what comes from it all, but we're not focusing on that itself, but instead we're focusing on the big winners for both categories and see what gives us some idea for the main event for the Oscars come this March. But let's delve into it. So we'll start off with the films in focus of the award show, and it's a case that I've seen is a little one-sided, but also then had a fair balance of films winning awards, which felt strange after watching the Game Awards last month, and it was all a clear obscure sweep. But the biggest winner of this was with one ball after another, winning 4 of its 9 nominations, which includes Best Picture for Musical or Comedy, which I'm still questioning if the film is more of a drama than a comedy because I'm getting two different perspectives, Supporting Actor for Trinah Taylor, and for both Screenplay and Director for Paul Thomas Anderson, which I can understand the appeal and the deserving of the award in that regards. As for the runner-ups, it became a four-way tie for second, with Sinners, Hamnet, The Secret Agent, and K-Pop Demon Hunters all winning 2 awards each, with Sinners winning for both original score and box office, Hamnet for Best Picture in Drama and for Jessie Buckley for Best Actress, The Secret Agent for Best International Film and Best Supporting Actor for Wagner Moura, and then for K-Pop winning both Best Animated Feature and for Best Original Song for Golden. The only other big win from this category went to Chalamet for Best Actor for Marty Supreme in the music and comedy side, which may see this be down to the possible two-way battle now with Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan for lead actor. Michael B. won for the award at Critics' Choice and likely third spot maybe for Mescal or DiCaprio. As for the last of the lead actresses in the comedy went to Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, and then Stellan Skarsgård winning Supporting Actor for Sentimental Value, which may take the win over many other people initially. The initial frontrunner of Sean Penn as the general in OBAA. Now, there have been some drama in this, mainly with people feeling that Sinners should have had better wins because the box office one feels a little cheap of a reward. They also cut off the acceptance speech for the score award, which was in favor of stupid betting options that kept popping up, and also similar to the events that occurred in the Critics' Choice, where the Best International Film was awarded to the director on the red carpet and not even given a chance to thank anyone or give a speech, which is really kind of spiteful. And in case as well, people were not really overly happy with Chalamet's acceptance speech, given he thanks someone who has been causing quite the problem overseas from what I've heard. Now, I don't know too much on it, but I can sense the guy is probably not a good person, but it's really hard to say. But besides that, overall, I think it's a fair balance for most of the projects that may help in giving the idea of what may be the best chances of the awards in March, but I guess we'll see with the nominations next week in the Oscars. As on the television side of things, it's a similar outcome in numbers in winning awards, with the biggest winner of the night going to the limited series of Adolescence, winning for Best Limited Series, though I've heard they're planning a second season, but I really do not know if it's really necessary, as well as for Best Actor, Supporting Actor for Owen Cooper, and for Supporting Actress, with the only loss for them being in the same category as Supporting Actor. As for the runner-ups, in their top 3 was with both The Pit and The Studio both winning 2 awards each, with The Pit winning for Best TV Show and Drama and for Best Actor for Noah Weil, and on The Studio it's the same but for the comedy side, and Seth Rogen winning for Best Actor. On the other aspects for big wins, Best Comedy Standard went to everyone's favourite Golden Globe host Ricky Gervais, Rhea Seehorn won for Best Lead Actress for Pluribus, Jean Smart won it for Hacks, and Michelle Williams won for Lead Actress in the limited series of Dying for Sex. In all fairness, it seemed like a fairly balanced side of things compared to more of a messy side with the film, and most were decently well received, and I see no issues with most of them in general. It'll be interesting to see what will come of the awards in the following year of film and television, but I guess we'll be back here in a year's time to just do all that once more. But what do you think of these winners' announcements? What are your thoughts on the winners? Who should have won in every category, and who would you have added to the categories that were snubbed? And if you had to watch the show, what did you think of the whole event as well? I want to get some insight of things. Let me know what you think down below and we can talk about it there. So on the next story is continuing to an aspect I talked on last week, which I kind of alluded to in the video as well, which I was not expecting to get any opinion or talk on this soon, but we're talking once again about that little Danish building toy of Lego. Now last week I talked on the smart brick in the case. It was finally unveiled and I had my thoughts on it and all, but we're not here to talk on those sets, but we're talking on a range I first mentioned a few weeks back was on the way, and then was not expected to see them unveil until at least the end of next month, but on Monday they unveiled the long-awaited sets based in the magical world of Pokemon, with the unveiling of the first free starting sets of this range, and then also a pair of rewards from gift for purchase and insider points, with the varying opinion being here and there. Now the sets unveiled start with the case of Eevee being the smallest and most affordable set, with it costing around €60, and the design of the figure is really cute and wholesome, and it's a case that I will be picking this one up with another set unrelated to this one, but I will discuss about it later. Then there's a massive jump in price for the next Pokemon, with the iconic figure of Pikachu, which also comes with a buildable Pokeball and will cost €200, which you can sense as being reasonable, but compared to another set based on a game that is often seen as a Nintendo console exclusive game, it's a little too costly and could be reduced slightly. But nothing comes in the way of the big centerpiece of it all, and that is with the rumored set that was confirmed of the Gen 1 starters in the second evolution of Bulbasaur, Blastoise, and Charizard, with their own display that can be attached together as well as being able to display on their own. Now, it all sounds nice, except the price, as it currently sits at a €650 price tag, which is quite a lot. Now, as for the two items that are not by cash, the gift with purchase is one that has seen a lot of reselling online already, even though the set is not out yet, and is a billable case with all the badges of many of the regions, and one that you can buy with the insider points you accumulate is a little buildable Poke Center. Now, I can understand the complaints of the price, especially with that last one, as I feel the size and amount, it feels like it would be best to be priced around like the $400-450 mark, essentially around the same price as the Switch 2 is now. It would be still pricey, but the amount seems more tolerable instead of costing the same as the Titanic and Eiffel Tower sets. It would also be a case that another LEGO competitor of Mega Bloks has had their range of Pokemon sets for quite some time now, and all varying sizes for more affordable amounts as well, which I feel is about to see a lot of price increases for those in particular. Now, it's not already seen a case of these pre-orders being sold out, and some people are selling them for double the price and scalping people and stuff like that, and as high prices for the gift with purchase. And the similar thing that occurred with the recent Stranger Things set of the Creel House and the small Squawk Box radio station that with the set came along with a larger price, where like I think the highest seems like 190 euros for like a very small set, which is stupid. Now, I worry this will be the thing now, but hopefully it'll be a case to buy eventually. In the case of one of my two goals of either get a sub goal by this year or an earlier option I'm selected for something, but I'll see how it turns out, and then we can see if I go with the set. So hopefully one of them works out. As for the other big set unveiled, there was a set teased at the end of last year that has been alluded to a certain elfling hero finding something much greater in size to him and a princess, and that was all it was teased. But it was just on Friday where they finally unveiled the set itself in the form of the final battle from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which will have a base build with giant build Ganondorf as well as minifigs of Link, Zelda and Ganon as well, which is really cool. Now this set is not going to be as costly. It will be dropping 2 days out of the Pokemon range on 120 euros on March 1st, which seems really nice and reasonable in comparison for its size and display, and one I will try to buy on day one, but we'll see. Now I know some complain that it feels not as big as it should for the price, but I feel it's sizable enough for a decent display piece and will be well worth a purchase, and part of it may be the new ones this year, but I am interested and look forward to being revealed, such as a certain follow-up to last year's plumber in a cart with his taller bro being rumored for April, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Sure, the likes of this sets can vary in price, but it's an appeal that I will spend my adult money, or to get to a level where I can get some free ones from the company, but I'm not assuming things, to buy these appealing sets for bricks display. I must find places to display them, as well as a case of buying sets of, like, with my adult money for other people, but we'll see how this goes. But what do you think of all these sets? Do you see the Pokemon sets as being reasonable or way overpriced, and do you see them getting sort of price cut at some point for some of these? And what are your thoughts on the second Legend of Zelda set, and what other parts of the series would you like to see made into a LEGO set, or other Nintendo properties getting some Lego-ized sets? Let me know what you think down below and we can discuss all about them there. Our next story in focus, and maybe the last in this week, is bringing us the selection of some of the variety of choice from the castings, release dates, and some possible new projects announcements. Because of course, it's the hodgepodge time of the week, so we're delving discussing all the announcements in the news story, so let's see what this week has to offer. So we're starting off with the casting focus, and we're heading all the way over to the realm of the video game adaptations. And while we have given our first look at another person, which of course is Sophie Turner as Lara Croft, going for the classic 1996 video game version, and looking at her, and I think she looks great, has now entered production this week as well. But we are actually heading to Amazon, which has seen some solid focus on adaptations, and it's time we get some updates to the other project that has been a little quiet for some while now. That's the focus with the Ghost of Sparta himself with the God of War adaptation. Now, the last time we talked on this was with the whole ordeal about the original showrunners dropping out before it was quickly revived by some new creators with some solid showrunners and writers, and giving it the focus of the more story-heavy Norse saga games, which I'll be interested to see how they would turn out in general. And I was down to wonder what will they see of any of the casting. But it all finally changed this week, which started off with the casting of the main god killer himself. As Gravity star Ryan Hurst was officially cast as Kratos for the series, and all sense of things, I'm so glad that he did, as the photo he shared is proper solid, and I feel he fits the role well instead of it being like the basic array of large muscular dudes playing the God of War. And what is also a coincidence that he has been a part of the series already, with him being the voice of Thor in the Ragnarok title, so it kind of all works out. Now, it was also not the only confirmed casting, as we got this week. It's a few days later they unveiled another 3 additions to the cast for this title, with the first being light out actress Teresa Palmer, set to play the role of Sif in the title, who's known as the wife of Thor, which make it sound like they are jumping straight to the Ragnarok title, or else we'll have a brief presence in the first season if it follows the 2018 title. And as for the last 2 they unveiled, they were confirmed that Boots and Vampire Academy actor Max Parker has been cast as Baldur, who's the son of Freya, the Witch of the Woods, and was seen as one of the main antagonists of the 2018 title, who was cursed with a spell of immortality. And then lastly, Severance actor Olafur Dari Olufsson has been cast as the interpretation of the God of Thunder himself. Overall, I see all of them as being solid choices, that I do wonder if there would be a case of mixing aspects of both narratives into one season, or giving each season 1 game each or something, as Thor and Sif are not majorly present in the first game but are mentioned, but I'm sure we'll get an idea of what it is in due time. Now, the only other major cast left to get unveiled for this is like the Witch of the Woods of Freya, the smartest man of Mimir, the All-Father of Odin, and of course Kratos' son of Atreus. And I'm sure we'll see them get unveiled in due time. And in case we hear anything else and any new updates and stuff like this, I'll provide that in a later episode. Now, keeping in the realm of fantasy for the focus of our next casting edition, we are staying in the Age of Vikings, but more in the realm where there's been a mythical beast with dragons, as we have some relating to the planned sequel to the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. Now, if you may remember the film, it's a major aspect of the sequel reintroduced the mother of Hiccup of Valka, who had been long presumed dead, but is revealed to be alive and went off with the dragons to protect the young child from certain death. And it was a case that it was unclear as to who may be playing the character, if it would be like Jar Butler and cast the original voice actors for the role. Well, it seems they have gone in the latter direction, as it was confirmed on Thursday of this week that actress Cate Blanchett will return to portray the character for this film, and likely the third movie as well, as she appears in that one too, which I feel makes the most sense, and the performance in the two last ones were pretty decent. Even I'm a little mixed on the second one and see it as kind of the weakest of the trilogy, but don't overly hate the film. It was however not the only casting, as we were talking again about Olofsson, because he is also cast in this movie as well, really sticking with the Norse roots in his casting lately, as he'll be set to play the villain of Drago Bloodfist in the sequel, and I can see him do well in that role, and I'm sure he can bring that menace to the God of Thunder and also the Dragon Hunter Warlord. Overall in the case, I'll be interested to see if my issues with the follow-up could be improved with this adaptation, but I guess we will see by the start of production and virtual release next June. If any more additions are added to the cast as well, or more focus on the aspects, I'll provide that in later episode as well. Now another story is keeping us in the realm of high fantasy and dragons is taking us over to the lands of Westeros for these, as we are first talking another new project that seems to be in the works from the expansive story and world. Now, there is two projects that have gotten some ideas of being planned, with one that is alluded to as a project about the conquest and legacy of the legendary warrior of Aegon Targaryen that is possibly in the process of being made into either a TV series or as a feature film. But the concept is all in early days, so we will see how that goes by then. But this is more in the focus of a different series that seems to have been confirmed to be in the works, and more in the realm of a sequel series to the original show. Now, it's the case that a planned series focused on Arya Stark may be in the works. Now, this is coming from the concept initially started as a sequel series that was focused on Jon Snow, but in that regard, that project was soon shelved, as the concept of the show was seen as too bleak and depressing, whereas mainly Snow just being traumatized and isolated and rejected heroism, abandoned his bestest boy of Ghost and trusted Longclaw until his demise, and just felt like it was too much of a depression downer thing. The concept of the Arya series and her going off beyond Westeros to see what lies beyond has been one that many people have agreed upon would have fit for a follow-up series, and I was one of them when that show came out, as I felt it could have worked better as an appealing send-off than the final season became. Now, the likes of this world would be to wonder if the series will be set soon after, or have a bit of a time jump in the case, well, if actress Maisie Williams will also be back to make a return as the character, as it's been about 7 years since the finale and maybe even 8 since they filmed it, so it'll be well worth to see what comes of it. Either way, I'll be interested to see if this comes about, and if any new news comes about this series and if there's any possible production starts, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. On one last casting-based news, this one's not really on an actor, but rather on the focus of a new director that may be taking up a new iteration of a now planned trilogy of films, as reported that the Housemaid director Paul Feig, while also making a follow-up to that first movie, will also tapping his directing duties into a musical film, as he may be helming the third movie in the Mamma Mia series. Now, I'm not sure what the case is for the third one and how they will go about the story, unless it's like the first film again, where it's Amanda Seyfried's daughter all grown up and getting married, or trying to keep the whole island village intact from being demolished or sold off, because they had the whole ordeal of Meryl Streep's character supposedly dying off screen in the second film and got her backstory in that one. That led to the ordeal of the original movie and musical, but maybe they have an idea in mind and use the extensive discography of ABBA, which include reported new tracks for this movie, to tell the story. But I guess we'll see if it does, and I see Feig as a decent director and choice to helm the third movie in general. Now, at the moment, this movie is just all speculation. It has been confirmed or set in stone as of yet, but I guess if anything new comes up, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. Now, for this next section, I decided to lump the release date focus for this part into just one story, as there's not too many and they both fall into the same genre of horror, as we're given the release dates for two movies in long-running franchises that may have their appeal, or some that feel it may be stretching a little too thin. Now, we'll start with the first one, and it's the case that we were officially given a release date to the new take on the long-running Exorcist series that's now being held by Mike Flanagan, and this new adaptation will be releasing now on March 12th of 2027, which is confirmed to be starring Scarlett Johansson. Now, if there's anything, I hope this is the appeal of the series and not reliant on the sense of fan service or legacy characters, which seemed to be the issue that the previous attempt at Believer had for them and messed up the execution, but I guess we'll see by the first bit of footage or release it later in the year. As for the other film that is set for release, it seems this franchise is not done telling the tales of these investigators or possible liars. It's kind of one and the same, as a lot of people say, but it looks like we're getting another film in the Conjuring universe, with a new film entitled First Communion set for release on the 10th of September 2027 as well, and will serve as a prequel to all of the previous films in the series and tell how they began their careers or their first case in that regards. Now, I have yet to watch that last entry, but I feel it may be time to call a day on this series. This has been a bit of a case that continues, they'll be milking it to a point, but now there's other projects set in form of the series and some other spirits, but I guess we'll have to see from it all. There's actually one other movie that I've heard as well, it's also releasing next year, and apparently it's the next movie that Paranormal Activity series, which is set for release, I think it's the middle of May. So yeah, we have a lot of horror movies coming out next year, but I guess we'll just have to see from it all. Now I'm sure we'll probably hear more about these projects and any of these set planned actors appear in the future, but I guess we'll see by these films releases in 2027. Now on reported rumors or possible confirmation, it seems to be in the realm of some video game news, as there is reports that they may be heading back to some familiar locations with a bit more of a fresh coat of paint and some sense of exploration lost in the world of Ruin, as there's reports they may be getting a remaster of not one, but 2 entries in the Fallout series, in the focus of both Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I see this being a likely thing to happen given the success with the Oblivion remake from last year, as well as the critical success and appeal of the ongoing television series that is still airing season 2 as of recording this. And I feel it makes sense to give them a proper next-gen update and remaster, as they were mid to late 2000s styles and could really do with some nice new visuals and aesthetics. And they do drop, I will be more than happy to play them. Now at the moment, I'm not fully sure if they are confirmed or if they're still just rumor releases, but if anything changes, I'll provide them in a later episode, or they might just get shadow dropped like Oblivion did last year, but we'll see. For one semblance of animation news this week, this one I am sure if it's being confused with a different project already confirmed in the works, or if this is a separate project, but it seems to be a case that according to comic actor Keegan-Michael Key, it seems that there is a planned 5th movie in the Hotel Transylvania series already in the works. Now the reason I see this as being a little confusing is because there's already a set planned new project in this franchise in the way with the release of the Motel Transylvania series that was recently delayed into next year at the end of last year. So unless he is talking about that, then I'm not fully sure, but maybe it's 2 separate projects. In this case, I do have to wonder as well if this will be the full cast back, as the last film in the series of Transylvania saw both Adam Sandler and Kevin James being recast, with Sandler's reason being scheduling conflicts, but unknown about James's one, but I'm likely to be both return for this new one or have the 2 others from the 4th movie return for their voices. Who else did a solid job, I'm not going to complain on that, all things considered. Now I'm sure we'll get more information cleared about all this and we'll come back, and once you hear anything about this as well, I'll provide that in a later episode too. Now the last part of this week's story is keeping us in the realm of Sony, but instead of animation, we're taking more of the pages of the realm of comic books, as we have some news related to the Sony Pictures license with Marvel characters, specifically the catalogue of Spiderman characters. Now if you recall, Sony is the studio that still owns the rights to film rights to the characters after being bought them off Marvel Studios back in the 90s to help them with their bankruptcy issues. And that's been the case of where it has been seen since the ordeal, with some reason they took a while before they joined the roster of heroes in the Marvel banner, was due to Sony having to make a deal with them to share the rights to be used in the case where you see all those solo films being on the Rogues Gallery from Craven, Venom, and Morbius, and where we also see some peak animation with the Spider-Verse films. And as a lot of them were kept out of consideration for a long time and just were licensed by Sony and not with Marvel itself, but it may be all about to change. As at the end of last week, Sony announced that they are now allowing Marvel to use some of the Spider-Man heroes and Rogues Gallery to appear more in the MCU in due time, which will likely see those villains with the solo films as well as the heroes including Madame Web, the Spider-Women, and also Miles Morales to make an appearance in the future for the Marvel films, which I guess may make sense for some elements of the next saga or as part of the possible multiverse incursion in Secret Wars. Now I'm intrigued to see how they will go about the implementation of said characters in the future, and if the case we'll see some actors and actresses return for those roles, with the only one I've heard rumored not to be back is Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock, but I have no idea on that one. I'm not sure how confirmed that is, but I'm sure we'll start to see them slowly but surely be implemented in the future films, and if the case I see any other news come from all of this, I'll provide that in a later episode. But what do you make of all these stories? Do you see the castings for the God of War series as solid, or who would you have cast? Are you happy with return of Blanchett for the Dragon sequel as well as the choice of Bloodfist? Would you watch the Game of Thrones sequel series focus on Arya Stark, or do you think they should have kept the Jon Snow series instead? Is Paul Feig a solid choice for the 3rd Mamma Mia film, or do we even need a 3rd movie? Will he be watching these new entries of The Exorcist and Conjuring? Will he be playing the new Fallout remasters they are made and released? Is the 5th Hotel Transylvania film worth it, and is it in any ways connected to the new Motel series? And which Rogues Gallery from the Spider-Man characters are you most excited for to see in the MCU? Let me know what you think down below of all of these, and with all that regards, that's all the news that we do have for this week. Alright, so that ends episode 139 of Weird My Newsroom. I do hope you enjoyed my ramblings for, I don't know how long it is, probably over a half hour, maybe 40 minutes, I have no idea. Anyways, before I head off now, I'm going to do kind of a quick summary in this regards of what's coming up in the channel. So, case with reviews, I'm going to get back to actually writing up the reviews and stuff like that, as well as case I'm going to coincide that with writing up the Last of Us review. I'm going to try maybe start Has Been Hotel Season 2 review, and maybe get in between while working on the anticipated media of this year stuff kind of thing. Maybe maybe make it a shorter one this year for the anticipated media, but we'll see. And then I'll get some other long form variations, long form, short form, snack size box office stuff, the different genres, different styles and stuff in the movies, shows, the games kind of thing. All these reviews are coming along eventually, so look forward to those. So I'll get to them. Gameplay wise as well, I've just exported bits of the Donkey Kong Bonanza part. I'm gonna basically get to recording more of that in due time, and I will probably do a little bit more gameplay of things. I'm figuring out to start streaming kind of things in that regards, where probably maybe I'm trying to figure out, do I start with a game? Like, I think I was talking to my friends there down at some convention the other day, and I consider maybe starting with Hollow Knight, maybe as the first game to start with streaming, but let's see a case. Might do some streaming stuff with gameplays, all chats, maybe some building streams. And the more game stuff like Star Wars, Mario, Cyberpunk, and a few other ones like Metal Gear and Assassin's Creed and all of that, they're all going to come along eventually. So look for those. And in the case of long form stuff, I already mentioned the case that I might do some of the Lego time-lapse builds maybe during the streams, and maybe just like kind of cut them down into a video aspect of stuff, and then maybe some other things as well, like the long form rewatchathon, the AI audience choice video, other bits and pieces as well are definitely going to come along as well. The horror most bore, all these going to come along, so look forward to those. I'm just going to figure it out in that regards, and then I also mentioned the anticipated media, so all those are coming. But with that regards now, I think I'll leave the episode there for now. So as always, if you like what you see here and want to see more from me and more frequently, as well as different variations and stuff, then simply like and subscribe, as I upload new stuff every single week. I'm aiming for around 1,000 subs at most for this year, but maybe around 750 would also be great as well. But we'll see how the journey goes over the year and see if a variation in different size and numbers. Let me know your thoughts on everything discussed this week as well down below, from the new releases, the trailers, and all the news stories as well, if you can hear me rambling through the very quick, fast talking aspect of things. But yeah, also in case if you want to get yourself 10% off some nice pure crack, you can use my code Sam Harrison, all in caps, down below, and the link in the description to get yourself a nice bag to help you fight for the January blues and help with, like, you know, energy and exercise and all that stuff. It's good, it's delicious stuff, and honestly it will help you in a lot of different things. But anyways, I think I'll leave it there for now because I think I've covered everything. So as always, in this regards, you all stay being wonderful people. Have a great day every day, doing many great things, and keeping you because no one else can do what you do, as well as case to make sure to check in on your friends and mental health, so make sure to check on the people when you need the most. So be there for support people. But in that regards now, I'm going to leave the episode there for now. So as always, take care. This has been your host Sam, and I shall see you all in the next one. So take care, and I'll see you later. Maybe on a video or maybe streaming, but we'll see.